And we're live
Heyo!
with
What's up,
special
everybody?
guests.
Yeah, 2 guests. I was so excited to have one, and then I got a bonus guest. She's not gonna be much in the way of verbal communication, more nonverbal tonight. She should be sleeping. Kastner, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well. Just came from youth service, and so it was a good night.
That is awesome. What is
Yeah.
God doing with you guys?
Man, we're reading out of Colossians how like Jesus reconciled everything. He's the visible image of the invisible God. Holds all things together. Had a lot of prayer responses. Really cool.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Well, now this seems a lot less more important. I'd rather just kind of hear your sermon.
Listen, I need that perspective when my team's doing so poorly. Like I need that reminder. Eternal perspective. Despite all of the hours and the time and the emotional investment that goes into my fantasy team, I need that eternal perspective. So,
Hey, man.
much
Same here.
emotion. Yeah, let's talk about it real quick. This was an expected win for you, right, this week? And you just
Yes, it
ran
was.
into the buzzsaw that was Jacob.
listen, if your kicker scores 22 points, you're going to win most of the time. I mean, but Lamar Jackson had a good game. It was before Addison went off. He had already beat me. So
Yeah, the Lamar and Patrick Mahomes negated each other.
Yeah.
And then Dustin Hopkins decided I've got you. It's a 22-point difference.
Yeah, my kicker
That
had
was
0.
insane.
He had 22. Yeah.
That's rough.
Crazy. I was celebrating. Getting another game on you is very useful.
Two game
Yeah.
lead, yeah.
But let's just dive in. Santos at 12. Don't need to talk about him. Santos, love you next year. New number 11 though, and we all pretty much have him down there. Or rather, for the listener at home, Noah, Justin, and Kestner did the rankings this week. I am a spectator, and I'm kind of enjoying it. It's rare. I don't really get to do this, so it's fun. Bryn is at 11. And you guys are both very down on him. Justin only has him at 10, so it's like the same thing. Kestner, tell me why. I know you've been waiting. You've been simmering. Let's hear it.
I know his team scored a lot of points. I just don't think it's going to go well. I just don't. I think I would have done some different decisions. So he got 11 for me. And honestly, like if Sam's the other option, I actually have more hope in Sam's team. Just to be honest, I think not just management, but just Sam still has some depth and some quality on his team. So I put Sam above him. So.
To which decisions are you referring to in particular?
Yeah.
Is it that time?
It's
now?
the time.
Listen,
We're bringing in the big guns, Kester.
you guys
rip.
can try. You guys can try. Tyreek Hill right now is the best player in fantasy football.
Tyreek Hill's the best player?
In my opinion. The
over
biggest,
CMC.
The biggest asset. Well, okay, so CMC, whatever. Receiver.
Sure.
So currently,
Easily.
Tyreek Hill is the fantasy football player number 1 right now over CMC. Just
Really?
FYI, by 3 points.
Okay, so it's close, but still, I do feel like
I don't care what anyone else says. I'm okay with DJ Moore. He is absolutely mid. Like literally he is not special. He's on the Bears offense, which he had one exploding game, so that kind of upped his. You know it. You wouldn't make that trade if you didn't think it was awesome. So you know it.
wait a second.
Gosh, Kobayashi's doing this. You know what? Man, Pickens, the keeper value. Pickens in the 6th round, even that's nothing. Kyron, I know it was made before he was on IR. Still, Kyron. Whatever. Kyron Williams. That's just Tyreek Hill. And then there was no draft. There was no draft capital. Last year, Kupp goes for a 2 and a 1/3. He goes for a 1st round. There's the best nut. So it's just it was. I don't have a word. It was a complete steal. It was a complete.
So okay, Justin, let's hear your thoughts.
Yeah, so I mean, I can
We gotta have Kessler on
see
more.
what Bryn is going for here, in that he's got a potential RB2 problem, he's got a big depth problem. I get that. It didn't make sense to me because a lot of the guys he picked up are longer term plays, and this is a 2-5. When he made the trade when he was 2-4.
2-4.
Yeah, he made the trade when he was 2-4. It's a 2-4 team that needs wins now, and one of those players was being hurt. So like it didn't make sense given the position that he was in. Like, and it immediately showed. Like his team immediately puts up the worst scoring totals he's had. Tyreek Hill plus another player would have outscored all the players that he had gotten. So it didn't make sense to me in terms of just like, if I'm Bryn, I'm in win now mode, and like that it wasn't a win now move because like DJ Moore is kind of mid, but like if Justin Fields is back, like maybe he goes up a little bit. Sure. George Pickens, like he's kind of an ascending player, but he's ascending. He's not at his summit yet. And he's also like a keeper value, which is like 6th round. Like I know Josh is talking that up. Like I personally, from my perspective, that's not good enough for me. And then Kyren, like I know everybody else was surprised that he went on RIR, but I was literally texting
not.
Josh and Luke when he got hurt. I was like, McVay is talking up him going on IR. He's going on IR. But nobody listened to me, so yeah, it didn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. Given his position.
I'm okay with him trading Tyreek Hill if there's significant draft capital for next year in return.
Sure.
And there will.
Or just compensation right back. So like the trade was weird. Obviously I've been working on Hill for weeks, throwing different things. I've been after him for a long time. I'm sure I'm not the only one either. I don't know who else he was talking to. Kessler, were you were sniffing?
Of course.
Justin's been sniffing around. So I know that, and Justin, I think you brought up a good point. That like kind of some of the decision making, because there were other players I offered like less value in like a James Cook or an Aaron Jones or someone who's going to play right now, knowing Kyren was going to miss at least a couple weeks. Obviously, I didn't think he was going on IR. I honestly thought he was going to miss like 1 or 2 games. Justin, you were right. But the decision, like the players that Bryn really wanted, I like what you said about like it was the players he wanted, like were players that would be good for a team that has a bunch of wins and they're trying to like reload for the back half of the season.
Like honestly, like, if the sides were switched, if you got the Kyren side of the deal, I'm like, that makes sense.
Yeah,
like I think
the RB4 who's coming back,
maybe, like a
DJ
tiny
Moore
bit
ascending,
but...
thinking DJ Moore is going to ascend when Fields comes back, because DJ Moore has been great when Fields has been. I mean, obviously not as good as Tyreek Hill, but no one is. And Pickens has been on the uptick. So again, like I like what you said, but those are the players he wanted. It was very weird. It was like, okay, like if that's what you want, of course I will give that to you. Like, if this is what you're after, by all means, you can have that. So yeah, those decision making is questionable, and he did put up this lowest point total. So I'm very curious about Bryn, because like we've ragged on his team all year. He's the highest scoring team in the league. Obviously this last week, detached. The decisions he has been making have been working, and I'm curious to see like if this one pans out for him too. Obviously, I like mine of the deal. I wouldn't have done the trade.
Is there a possibility that the reason he was the highest scoring in the league is because he had the highest scoring player in the league?
No, that's no doubt. I don't think that's a doubt. But like, you can't, if your team is completely garbage and you have a good player, you can't be that high.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like you have to be at least making good decisions other than your stud. And of course your stud's going to cover a lot of weaknesses, but trying to get both. Anyway, the point I'm making is like, maybe this plans out, maybe it doesn't. I'm of course okay with it, but it was very weird, like how it went down was very odd and I'm happy with it. So I'm sorry you guys were disappointed. But I am happy to know that I beat you guys out of the bidding war. That's
I never contacted Brent about
okay.
Tyreek, so I wasn't. I assumed incorrectly he was untouchable.
Well, maybe I've learned from you, Justin, because a couple years ago you got like George Kittle for nothing for like peanuts, and I was kicking myself because I had a tight end, and I was like, never again will I assume anybody's off the board. Like I'm just gonna go after people, and hopefully I can get them, regardless of what my team looks like. But Brent's at 11, and so 2 and 5 does suck, but it's a drop of 5 for Brent.
Wow.
Yeah, a drop of 5. Moving on. Sorry, one more thing. I think that ranking will really reflect his standing if he keeps out like putting out low scoring points, because then his record will double. Like he was higher up in the rankings because he was scoring so much, even though he was losing. All right, moving on to 10. Sam is at 10. Good spot there. His RBs actually did something this week. The core of the roster, and I think like Sam is in win. Like if Kessler, if you had Sam's roster,
I like his roster. I like his
are
team.
you trying to win? Like, are you just gonna go in, or are you gonna try to sell out?
Much like Justin, I would keep trying. But if he were to sell, I think he would earn a lot of good capital for next year. Maybe not a first round pick like he was trying to get from you, but I do think he would get some good capital for next year. And so, I mean, I like his team because even the running backs are good. Laporta, if T. Higgins comes along, if Drake London continues, I mean, there's still some ifs, right? If Joe Burrow, but Waddle and Higgins and London those receivers have potential, but I don't know.
Yeah, to me,
Yeah.
like I in my ranking kind of reflects is like my evaluation of his team kind of starts now. Like he's got everybody back. You know, this will be the first week that the entire like starting roster as constructed is going to play together. So, you know, I think this is like obviously given that what I'm doing with my team, I would obviously keep going. But I think from like just a pure, just like this is what the team is, like you have to kind of keep going because this is the first time you're seeing the team all together. So,
Right.
There's
No,
still
I
a lot of good potential. I mean, like there's a lot of potential with his starting roster.
Yeah, I think that the tricky part is with the trade deadline upcoming. You kind of have to like make like the decision is going to have to be made sooner rather than later. Don't touch my keyboard. Sorry, should have been difficulties. And so, yeah, hopefully, like I'm with you guys. I would be trying to go in, and I think I don't know, trying to get depth. I guess the combo of Taylor and Barkley, if they keep playing how they played this week, like that's gonna win you games. And hopefully, if the Bengals have figured it out, yeah, Sam could be on the rise here. Guys at 9, talk about drops. 4 spots down. He's aptly named his team Free Falling. And Kester, I want to hear your thoughts on Guy's squad.
It's okay.
Are we good?
There's some high end pieces, right? Jamar Chase, Bijan has not been what we thought he'd be. He has not been a first round pick. And then obviously the weird thing on Sunday, sickness or whatever, headaches. But he's okay. I don't think it has. I don't think it has it to go deep in playoffs, but he's definitely in the middle of the pack. He has some. It's not awful. It's not Santos. So.
You actively try to have a roster like Santos.
I'll look at every roster and I'll say, like, what are some pieces that I might make an offer on? And I go to Santos and like, there's nothing. Like, not even like bottom of the roster. I want him on my team. And I know it's because he's sold. Like, it's not Santos' fault.
Sure.
Yeah. But anyway, all right, this is about Guy.
No, you're good. Yeah, I mean, dual B-Rob, his running back room has been the problem all year. Samuel being in and out of the lineup. And Chase was, like, he was winning when Chase was not doing so well. Now Chase is doing well, and the rest of the roster said, nah, I think we're done carrying you. And And he can't play his quarterbacks right. Justin Herbert and less than Love. This is a disaster. I almost, Justin, am I crazy? I kind of like Sam's team more.
Oh no, you're not crazy. The only reason I have Sam lower is just because like his record and
Yeah,
like I haven't see it. But like if I were to swap teams right now, I would totally take Sam's over guys. I think, but just barely, because like I still think there's some value here. There's like value to like there's a lot of trade value on guys' team that I think I could really work with. Less so on Sam's team. There's a lot of potential on Sam's team, but there's less trade value in Sam's team. So that's why it's super close. But it's rough. I mean, guys over the past 5 weeks is averaging the third least points. Only Sam and Santos have less points for than Guy does over the past 5 weeks. So it's rough.
And their ranking reflects it. Justin's at 8, and Kessner has him at 4.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Noah and Justin both have Justin at 9. Kessner is pulling him up a whole rank by his 4 ranking by himself. And I need to know, why are you so high on this roster?
Well, again, I factor in record a little bit, but it's more so just I think the outlook and like who would I want to go against, and I think Justin's a great manager, but there's still there's a lot of depth. He has a lot of depth, and so there's going to be like every week there's injuries, and so I think there's a lot of depth. And I'm thinking about playoffs. I think if he gets in the playoffs, he'd be a scary team, and he definitely stole. I was like, you know what? I'm going to get either the quarterback or the tight end. I'm going to get one of them. I like both of them. Hey, Trevor Lawrence, Kincaid, that's awesome. I'm going to get one. I've been pretty high. He had both of them. So he has no fab left.
It's all gone.
Congrats, Justin.
We were texting this morning, and I was like, how did you outbid the guy with the most fab left?
Because he won the more.
Because I'm desperate.
They would have been on my bench. For him, they're both starting this week. So
yeah, they are right into the lineup.
They're both starting.
Right
That's okay. Now listen, I definitely am being intentional, and maybe Josh is doing this too, but trying to save a lot of fab for, I'm assuming, playoff run. So
yeah, you're going to be in playoffs. Like that's not even a question. You've got matchups against Santos and Bryn still coming. You're going to be fine.
Yeah, our division is pretty nice to play against, and then you got your back half good ones still. No, it's smart thinking. This morning's waivers were very funny. Justin was like, I didn't realize I was going to be bidding against Kessner.
I thought for sure my competition was going to be Ken or Mark. I structured my bids accordingly. I had not even considered that you were going to be in competition, but I was.
I like him. I like those players. But again, all right, Justin's team, Cooper Kupp. He's the man. All right, I know he had a bad week. He's still the man. CeeDee Lamb, Nico Collins. He's still got Lockett on the bench as his 4th receiver. Running backs, obviously, Gibbs, he's hitting it. Pacheco's doing great. Hunt is now the man for at least a few weeks. Montgomery comes back. He's awesome. Like there's depth there at running back. Now he has Fields and Lawrence, which again, if either one of them come back to be something in the back half of the season, I just think there's still it's a good team.
Yeah, I think I don't know if I'd go as high as 4 if I was ranking them, but I think in the 6-7 mark, the record does concern me. I'm going to try my hardest to beat Justin this week and kick him out of the playoffs. I'm trying so hard. I love Justin. I love that he's a part of this league. We cannot let him win 3, guys. We just can't let it happen. And so I'm gonna do my part. Josh Kobayashi, thank God, did his part last week. I'm gonna try to continue that trend. It won't totally knock him out, but it'll put him on the ropes. But yeah, Gibbs is coming on just at the right time. I think my problem and why I wouldn't have had him higher other than record is I think at full health it will be tough to play this roster. Do you play both Lions running backs? Do you only play Montgomery? Do you play Ford? Like I think I would play Ford over Hunt. It's just like because how he's built it, and it was the same thing with Puka and Kupp, but he sorted that problem out. I think it'll be tough to play the right one, and then you'll get frustrated when you don't. When Hunt falls in the end zone twice. and takes those points away. Like that's the ball game last week. Is that kind of thing. Although I guess Ford did hurt, but I'm digressing. The point of the matter
I
is,
have two questions for Justin.
Yeah.
One, if you're 2-6, do you sell? Two, after Puka had an awesome game, do you have any regrets on trading him away?
So to question one, if I'm 2-6, do I sell? I mean, I think there's a potential that I sell one of my depth pieces or one piece just because like I have the depth where I feel like I'm still competing, and I can get like the goal would be to get back to draft capital neutral, which I'm missing a 6 right now. So that's still in the cards. It'll kind of depend on how the team performs. If it's like if like me and Luke play this week and it's like 130 to 125 or something like that, if the team just lays an egg, then yeah, there might be a guy going away. In terms of Puka, I won't. Like, I have him everywhere except for this league, so I will be rejoicing in all my other leagues. So, yeah, it's really not. I think I'll be slightly bummed because it's like I really liked Puka, and that's why I was super high on him, and I got him. But I mean, he wasn't going to be a keeper. It was going to be tough to make him a keeper because I wasn't going to get the keeper bonus, so that probably wasn't going to happen. And yeah, I mean, I felt like when I made that call, I felt like definitely the probabilities and I think like just listening to just people who really know football, like Puka's doing really well, but Cooper Kupp is still the better receiver. But obviously, like if Puka does better, it's because defenses are just trying to take away Cooper Kupp, and if they do that, the Rams have a guy who can punish you for that. So, if that happens, you just kind of have to be like, all right, that's just the way it goes, and we'll move on. But
yeah, if and when you do sell, I'm interested. So let me know.
I know.
I will give you a 6th rounder for Pacheco right now.
Johnson and Charbonnet for Cooper Kupp.
Right now. Right now. We'll do this deal right now.
I'll throw in a 14-15 swap. That'll make it even.
Yeah.
If you want a 6 back, Justin, like we don't have, like we can, like, we can make that happen. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
That's all you're worried about.
Oh, I'm not worried about getting a deal done. It's the question will just be like what, because I know I can really get. There's a lot of value on this roster, so like
absolutely,
I can, and God forbid I lose to like both of you guys. Oh man, there will be a fire sale. But that's probably not happening.
I don't see how you lose to Santos. Like our game's gonna be good. I don't think I'm just gonna run away with it. I think it's gonna be a good one. But I don't see how you lose to Santos.
That would be like the craziest upset ever.
Yeah.
And I would just be like, all right, you're all gone.
It's a sign from God. Moving on, it's Mark at 7. Everyone's pretty even keeled about the board. I don't think there's much to talk about this roster other than the lack of running back. I guess. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, what's to talk about? Because Mark apparently thinks this roster is perfect. He's only made one move the entire season. He's picked up a kicker, so it's perfect.
He has not changed a single thing about it. He's just rearranged his lineup, managing it that end, which is wild. And he's 4-3. It's crazy.
He still has Rashad Bateman, so there's hope there.
You think Bateman will come around?
No, that was sarcastic. He's a Raven.
Yeah, he's a Raven. Why isn't Odell Beckham on this team? Mark, come on. Complete the set.
Kendry Miller can be dropped.
I don't know what else to talk about. I mean, Kamara coming back is fantastic from now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Mark's at 7. Ken's at 6. Another big drop, down 3 spots. Justin, you're the lowest on it, and I want to hear why you're so low on this team because I feel like he's kind of in the middle of the pack for the other two guys.
Yeah, this was kind of surprising to me because I was kind of high on Ken's team, and then like I haven't done rankings in like 2 weeks or something like that. So like coming back to it, I was surprised because I just ranked based off like, on scale 1 to 5 for each position group essentially. And Ken's team came in really low, and I had to bump him up because of his record. And I think it's because, I mean, obviously Christian McCaffrey's great, but quarterback is now a problem, in my opinion, because
Absolutely.
like Sam Howell's had some good weeks, but I think his schedule is about to get a little rougher. So I'm concerned he could lose the job at any moment. That's a concern of mine because he's taking it's been bad. Wide receivers, I think, were really propped up a lot in my rankings before by the fact that Keenan Allen was absolutely balling out, but he's kind of cooled down a little bit, and that's kind of left the wide receiver core a little exposed. Because he's playing 2 Charger receivers, and the Chargers offense just in general has not been amazing. So he's playing Josh Palmer and Keenan Allen, and he's got McLaurin, who's been okay. And then he's in tight end hell, like Jake Ferguson. Okay, sure. Would have been better with Dalton Kincaid. Dropped Kincaid, dropped Trevor Lawrence. I would have rather both had both of those over there, but thank you, Ken. And the bench there's just nothing on the bench. Like, there's not a single player on the bench that I like. So
you don't like Godwin?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I mean, Mike Evans
he's all right.
Yeah.
Roster-wise, Justin's and Sam's roster is better. I like Sam's roster better than this. I know McCaffrey's the man, but there's way more depth on Sam's roster than that.
I mean, the only thing I like about Ken's team is his record, and so that does cover over a lot. And that's why I bumped him up a lot in my rankings, but even then he's still at 8. So the roster strength scares me, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I am easily swayed because you always convince me of something every week, Justin. You're like, hey, here's this take about this team. You're like, you're right. One
last thing about Ken. The last 3 weeks, point totals, 88, 96, 92. And I think that coincides with Austin Eckler coming back.
It does, but also that coincides with McCaffrey getting pulled halfway through the game in Dallas and getting hurt in Cleveland. So he had a good game this last week, but the 2 weeks prior he didn't really do it. He wasn't his normal McCaffrey self. But I'm not trying to argue the point. I think that actually highlights how important McCaffrey needs him to pop off to stay in the top half of scoring, like pop off. Ken at 6, big drop. Caster, anything else to say here?
No, I mean I like Ken. I think he's trying to do what he can. Obviously, James Conner was injured, so that's like one of his starters, and McLaurin hasn't been as good as hoped, and he's hanging in there. He's in the middle.
Absolutely. All right, moving on. Noah at 5, up 4 spots. This guy is ping-ponging around the rankings, up and down. You guys are polar opposites of the board. Noah has himself directly in the middle. Justin's high at 4. Kessner's low at 8. And let's hear from Kessner first. Why you got Noah so low?
Just where he's at still with Achane and Jefferson out. There's not a whole lot of depth behind right now with him. I think you said earlier about him potentially just keep losing. I think this stretch is just rough without those guys available.
Well, this game
5-2. I mean, I know he keeps winning, but
this game's gonna get a lot easier with Bryn not having Tyreek Hill anymore. And last week, guys' wheels completely fell off.
Yeah.
And I think if Noah can survive, how many games do you think a team needs to make playoffs?
8's pretty much a lock.
So if he can get one more, and then he gets his guys back in the back half of the regular season, he should clean his division up, right? Who else in his division?
When Jefferson and Achane are back for him, he'll be a lot higher.
Yeah, right.
Definitely.
But I don't disagree. Deontay Foreman's 3 touchdown performance is not going to do it to happen again. That was so crazy. If I had a nickel for every time this has happened, I'd have 2 nickels. Just not a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice.
And he's-
Swift has been good.
Garrett Wilson and Devonta Smith should be better, but they haven't been. They haven't been elite. They haven't been at the top. They're
Not at all.
so.
What, Justin? Remind me, what was your deal with Smith for Fields?
Fields.
Yeah, but
it
there
was
was a pick
it
involved.
was Devontae Smith for Fields, and I got an 8th round pick for a 14th.
You got an 8th round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you. Smith has not been good.
But no one needed a receiver to play.
No, absolutely. That's just.
I mean, Smith is just ping-ponged around the league based on hopes and dreams of
what he could be.
Yeah, what he could be.
We're chasing week 1 for the rest of the year, or week 2
Yeah.
for the rest of the year.
Because I traded him to Santos, and he pretty much traded on the hopes of what he could be, and then I traded for him on the hopes of what he could be, and then Noah trades for him on the hopes of what he can be. Third time's the charm.
He might play Michael Thomas over Devonta Smith.
Oh gosh, Thomas was 1 touchdown away from being an absolute disaster last week. Ooh. But yeah, no. Justin, why are you so high on Noah's roster?
I think the tricky part with ranking Noah is just what do you do with Achane and Jefferson are on this roster, and he's 5-2. So if he had a losing record, I guess I'm considering this team is really good and the record is really good, so he's going to get, I don't know, he's in a really good spot, because there's a lot of talent. We know there's a lot of talent on the roster, and he doesn't necessarily need all that talent right now because he really only needs 3 more wins realistically to make playoffs. So that's why I kind of had him high, but I wasn't really sure what to do about that. Is do I rank it based off as it's currently constructed, or the potential? I don't know. So that's kind of where I landed. I was like, well, he's got a good record. The team has a lot of potential. So I'm going to put him at 4. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys are saying. And yeah, if I just with his 2 guys back, he might jump all the way to 1. Jefferson is about as automatic as Hill or McCaffrey. It's nuts. All right, moving to 4. I'm going to talk about this guy for a little bit. It's Jacob. Jacob's at 4. Ranked 5 for Kessner, 3 for Kobayashi. And this team is actually good. I don't know what happened. He's tied for the league in scoring, and his expected wins showcases the swing of points for Jacob. He's had big weeks. He's had bad weeks. So his expected record is exactly, I think he's on point. I believe 4-3 is where he should be. But going into the season, he had a problem at wide receiver. He's fixed that. That problem is no longer a problem. Christian Kirk, Puka Nacua, Adam Thielen, Jordan Addison. Oh, his wide receiver 5 is Amari Cooper. So that problem's fixed. He has a problem at running back now, but he always kind of had a problem at running back once Chubb went down. And Madison / Akers, I think, or Justice Hill, and Henderson, he's put together a roster that he's gonna squeeze some points at the RB2 position. And then we just saw what happens when Kelsey and Lamar Jackson get cooking. It was the highest scoring team in the week. Kessler didn't say it. No one would have stood a chance. He didn't even need Hopkins. So the D-Hop, the OG D-Hop, Dustin Hopkins was unneeded for this team to just go nuclear. And Jacob hit me up with a text after he had his game well in the bag, and it was just a gif of a black horse running around on a beach. The dark horse is in the roost. Maybe no longer a dark horse because we see you, Jacob. You're at 4, up 4 spots, and I think greatly deserved. I think we're really seeing Jacob step into his own. His draft capital is pretty much intact, just missing a 7, so it's not like he's had to spend the earth to fix the roster. He's made some great waiver pickups. I mean, I was kind of concerned at the beginning of the season, but Jacob's putting together, I think, the best season in the league so far.
His team's really good. Yeah. And again, he had an awesome week. I hate that it was against me, but Jacob's a great guy. He has a good team.
Absolutely. And Pollard, has been fine. Like if we like that's without a Pollard, big boom game, which I think can definitely happen as the Cowboys realize that they had a mistake. They made a mistake firing Kellen Moore. Justin, you're the highest. You got him at 3. I'm assuming you share some sentiment here.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think Jacob's doing a great job. This is by far his best managerial effort. I thought it was over when all those injuries happened and the team was just nothing going. But it's been plucky. He's made some good way. I mean, Adam Thielen could be like the pickup of the year, right next to Puka Nacua.
Who's
So
also on the team? He's got them both.
yeah, he's got them both. So, and Christian Kirk, we thought he was going to be nothing, and he's been everything. For the Jacksonville wide receiver core, which surprisingly. So, yeah, and Lamar Jackson is playing out of his mind. It's not necessarily been backed up with fantasy points, but this last week it was. So his team is dangerous. It's dangerous. And that's why I have him at 3, and he's averaged. I think he has averaged the most points for over the past 5 weeks. So
You really turned it around since the beginning of the season. Good job, Jacob. Josh is at 3, up 1, so he was at 4 last week. And you guys, Kessler's got him at 3, Noah's got him at 3, Justin's got him at 5, but definitely in the top half. And I think, Justin, you can correct me, maybe his record's the only thing kind of holding him back. He's still on a losing record.
Yeah.
And Mostert is kind of having those boom bust weeks. Breece Hall should be more consistent. What's your guys' temp check on the Olave situation? Do we think he's going to miss any time?
I don't think so. Maybe a little, maybe max a game, maybe.
For being arrested, I agree. I think maybe it doesn't even get sorted out to the end of the season. There was a big hullabaloo, but I don't think that's going to amount to anything. Texting with Justin or Josh this week, he said if he had lost the last 2, he would have definitely fire sold. And Kessner, Hurts, AJ Brown, these are types of players I feel like you could have really scored a big draft haul. Is that something to consider if Josh can loses the next 2 and is sitting at 3 and 6 right before the trade deadline?
I'm scared he's going to beat me this week. I mean, his team's great. No, his starting roster's excellent.
Yeah.
As good as any in the league. Yeah.
Justin,
if Mostert keeps doing what he's doing, if Achane comes back and steals a lot of it, I don't know, or if something happens to Mostert, if he gets hurt, which is a possibility, but with Mostert as his RB2 and Breece Hall keeps going, I think he's as good as anyone. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Justin?
I think for me, I'm a little lower than you guys. I think it is a little I think it might have reached its peak a little bit, and I think there is I still think the team will be good. I just don't think it might be due for a little bit of regression with Mostert. Mostert's been outstanding, but Jeff Wilson is back. Achane's going to come back. Mostert's not going to be putting up the point totals that he was. AJ Brown is playing at a historical pace. That's not going to continue, especially when you have a guy as talented as Devontae Smith on the team. And then even this week, Brock Purdy's probably not going to play this weekend, and we're going to see what the 49ers. 49ers are kind of in a rut a little bit, and so I think there could be some regression. I think that's a little bit concerning. But at 3 and 4, you can weather that, and so I don't think there's a whole cause for concern. But I think there's versus the other teams I have above them. I think the ceiling is not as high as those teams.
Yeah, I think my biggest concern about the roster is just the Niners combo, and I've been chirping that horn all year. I just don't really like playing 2 pass catchers on the team, let alone 2 that are very volatile depending on who's the hot hand. Have they ever popped off at the same time? That's tough. You're hoping for one. I would rather kind of throw my dart at one and play someone else so I can maybe get the spike on 2 teams rather than just one passing attack. He's kind of backed into it. I mean, I play Romeo Dubs, but maybe I'm just nuts. The Steelers' right backfield's doing nothing for him, so they're fine for 6 points. They're fine for pulling a mark and playing Gus Edwards. It's the same thing. If you play Najee Harris or Jalen Warren, you're going to get something, but it won't be big. And I think you're right, Justin. I think it does cap him. I wouldn't be shocked if he loses, which is gonna. I think this is the game of the week, the Josh Bowl.
Yes, absolutely.
Josh v. Josh. And if he does lose, which is definitely well within reason, definitely possible. I know Kobayashi, the Tank Doctor, will be itching, if not calling people to talk him out of it, to just pack it all in.
It's okay. He gets a good Brandon in week 9. I think he'll be just fine.
Right? Should be all right. But there you go, Josh. Don't do it. Stay the course. It's a good roster. Number 2. Oh wait, we have a new number 2. It's Josh Kessner. And I'm not gonna lie, Josh. You both have you at 2. Noah has you at 2. I would have put you at 1 just because I don't want to put myself at 1. But I like this team a lot. It's so good, Kessner.
I thought you always loved putting yourself at 1.
I like talking the big game, and especially when I got told I had a 0% chance to make playoffs. But we'll get to me. Let's talk about you. And I really want to hear your thought process. You haven't spun a lot of fab, but you mentioned that briefly earlier. I mean, you obviously drafted Stanley well. Kind of give us a little inside look at Kessner and the managing and this awesome roster and, the highs, the lows. Talk to us.
I'll try without giving away all the secrets. I found, and I know Justin loves his receivers. If this was a full PPR, I might lean more receivers. I just know with the injuries come in the year playoff time, I'm like, everyone's trying to find any running back that has anything. So I know I'm sitting there and I have, I would rather have more running backs, and then I'm trying to find a wide receiver 2 to play. I know that there's pros and cons to that. I'm thinking toward the end of the season, I like the running back depth there. And also like trying to hold on a little bit to some of the rookies, hoping that every year we see towards the end of the year some rookie that we knew was supposed to be good, but then they were horrible. So I'm not dropping those guys, holding on to hope, not only for them to have a good second half, but then the potential of a decent keeper maybe. Ridley is frustrating because his floor is super low, but his ceiling is high.
Yeah.
And that's super frustrating. I like Josh Downs. And he is. You guys bag on me with the fab, but I did buy him with fab, and he's been really good. So he might get some more playing time on my roster. But
Downs super benefits from Minshew too. Like there's a direct correlation between Minshew starts and Downs. I like Downs a lot as well. Yeah. He's one of those guys that I think you picked him up at the right time. I think you would have gone for a lot more fab if you were grabbing him now. And the outlook is really good with Indianapolis because they're going to be behind, and they're going to have those the 8 to 9 drives where Minshew's trying to force something, and you'll get these games like
and hopefully the top corner is on Pittman, right?
Right. Pittman is going to be drawing that coverage. Yeah. And I like playing him over Ridley this week. I'm
at a point where I need Ridley to show me something consistently.
Yeah.
And Watson, Watson still Love has not been what he was the first couple of weeks. So he's both those Ridley and Watson have so much potential and athleticism, but haven't been consistent. So trying Downs this week.
I like it.
The matchup's not as good as the other two, but he's been more consistent recently with Minshew. So
absolutely, Justin. What is some insight you've gathered? I mean, tell us. Let's guess to know because he's done a great job, obviously.
My insight is it's a good team. Yeah, I know it. The record is not as great as it could be, but I mean this roster's averaging the 3rd most points over the past 5 weeks. It's just fine, and I think you're probably going to beat Josh. I think I would agree. I think Josh Downs is probably the better play at this point. I think you need out of that wide receiver 2 spot, you need more floor than boom. I think
Yeah.
because there's so much boom in the rest of the roster. It's like just don't kill me, wide receiver 2 slot. Just
Yeah.
give me
Yeah,
something.
put
Give me something
yeah.
to work with. I think that the strategy to hold more running backs is sound. It's what I'm doing in my work league where I'm 6-1. So like I'm holding on to my running backs, and I'm not really moving them around. So I think it's a good strategy when you've got as much talent as you do. So, and I think you can. I'm sure you will make a move before the trade deadline, and things will look a lot better. So, no concerns.
Yeah, you wanna give us a little insight at who maybe you're keying up to target? You want a little
Yeah,
little,
I'm hoping. I
teaser?
know he just changed teams recently, but I'm hoping to try and make a deal for Tyree Hill.
Hey, I'll say right now, you won't like the price, but I will sell them to you. If
Yeah.
you really are, if you really are that hell-bent on it, we can get something done. But I know you won't like what I'll ask for. That's good. Yeah. And this is your only second week out of first. You've been at the top all year. No, or Justin said it early on. You're making the playoffs. I think, let's take a really super extra early look in the playoffs. I hate my side of the bracket, okay? Because I am looking, I'm scanning. You go each week. I'm like, do I win this one? Do I win
It's
this
gonna
one?
change so much between now and then.
But right now it's the worst. You have to play Jacob in the first round, and then the winner plays me. It's like I don't like any of that. No, go to the other side of the bracket. I want the Marks of this world and the Kens of this world. Come to the other side. But yeah, you're right. Absolutely, definitely, everything will change. I think our second matchup will be huge. And I'm kind of hoping to win it because if I win and we play each other again in the playoffs, it'll be like true, like who's the best team, as opposed to you winning 2 in a row. Then I just have no hope of reclaiming that. Like that'll be disappointing.
Yeah, I'm not worried. Like I like my team. I know the record's not great, and like there's a very real possibility of Josh's team winning, and I'm 4-4 after this week. But
That would be
I'm still
boggling.
very very confident team, and even with Tyreek Hill, I still like it a little bit better than your team. But we'll talk about your team in just a second. No, my hope is to catch up, and as long as I beat you that last week, then that tiebreaker. Obviously, I already have the tiebreaker right now, but
Right.
So I'm hoping some of your. I just hope you lose a lot of games.
I got the Mark game was shocking. I was expected to that's an expected win, but like when he beat, I thought for sure I was going to lose, and I had an expected loss last week. So I literally chalked it up to like it's a wash. Like I expected to win one and I lost it, and I expected to lose one and I win one. So like it evens out. And then I won. I was like, this is huge. This is the luck you need.
Jacob by 3 points. You beat Mark by 0.2 points.
That was crazy.
That's
And then-
crazy.
yeah, so-
You beat
the
Sam.
Jacob-
You only scored 101 points, but it was Sam, so you won.
Well, the Jacob week was the week that was expected. That's the one I'm talking about. I believe it was the expected loss. Like I should have lost that week,
Yeah.
but because Jacob had a down week. And then Mark, that should have been a win, but then I thought for sure I was going to lose, so I was like, okay, whatever. It kind of pans out. But yeah, having the 2-game lead is huge. If I can just maintain it, please, for the love of God. All right, Josh, you and I will be dueling until there's a major injury or some other major news. This is going to be all season, the rest of the season. Oh man, I was so annoyed when you were the last one in the draft. And Santos had to put you in our freaking division. Oh, it was so frustrating.
Our division has the bottom 2 and the top 2 in the ranking.
Yeah, it's so annoying. All right, let's talk about number 1. It's me. No soapbox. I won't remind you how I was told I wouldn't make the playoffs. How I was told that my roster was the worst and that it would take a miracle. Ava, do you believe in miracles?
He's laughing at you right now.
No! You don't believe in miracles? No!
Out of the mouths of babes.
I'm done for. Never mind, get me out. No. But yeah, I mean, I like your depth more, Kestner. You guys both have me up at 1 just because my record's better?
Yeah, you have to. You
Yeah.
got 2-game lead on me. Yeah.
I do. 6-1 is
And
a
you just
luxury.
acquired Tyreek Hill.
Yes.
So, like, in doing so, yeah, like some of your depth pieces went, but I mean that upside is tremendous because then all those points are in one slot, and then you can still have other slots. So now your team's good. You know, I like your 3 running backs. They'll be okay.
I like my 4 running backs. I like Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah.
We'll see. I guess this week we'll see if he really took over. But yeah, Aaron Jones, Cook, and Henry. Henry, to me, is so frustrating, but he gets Houston twice in the playoffs. And Derrick Henry versus Houston is like automatic 30-point juicy. I think he's only had 200 yards rushing against him, which is crazy. But yeah, Justin, yeah, is it just record? What do you not like? Tell me how I fail so I can fix it now. I need to fix it now.
Well, I mean, I think the one thing, I mean, you're not averaging as much points as Kessler, Jacob, Noah, Josh right now. So that's, but your records. So I mean, you could say that you played a fairly light schedule. I don't know. Obviously, I think that in getting Tyreek Hill, obviously you sacrificed some depth, so the team doesn't have the best depth in the league. But I think it's still, the depth is fine. So, I mean, yeah, the team is great. The starting roster is great. The bench is adequate, and you're 6-1. So who cares about a bench when you're 6-1?
I do. People get hurt, man. Last year was pain. Last year was a disaster. Tough game against you too. This is not a gimme. I know this week's not a gimme. It's gonna be close, especially with Montgomery out. I was really hoping Montgomery would come back and just yoink all those points off, but I know Gibbs gonna smash, and that's gonna be annoying.
Come on, Gibbs. This is what also, I traded for you for.
Kessler, can you bid more so I don't play a better Lawrence and Kincaid than the garbage Justin was gonna play before this? His starting lineup was so much worse before this waivers.
I felt pretty good. I had 18 and 16. I had 18 and 16. I was like, okay, I'll get one of them probably. Same guy got both of them. It was you. It was crazy.
Desperate times.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, I am not losing these two guys. My bids were even higher before this morning. I was like,
how you only have 8? How much
I was
higher
spending
can they be?
all of it. I was going to spend all of it.
My highest bid of the season was for Puka, which you also got, because I'm not putting in, what is it, 33? How much you bid for?
Yeah,
Puka?
it was a huge number.
I did 20 something for Puka, but
which I think 33, honestly, completely worth it.
he's definitely worth it. Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I mean, I was more desperate in all 3 of those situations. I needed them, so I was gonna go get them. But yeah, I mean, part of it also is Trevor Lawrence, Dalton Kincaid. I see as season long plays, so I was willing to spend more, and I was completely fine with that. So, yeah.
I mean, Kincaid, obviously he needs to prove it first, but he has the opportunity to be top 5 tight end now with Knox out, and the Bills are desperate for a second. Okay, all right, Ava, they're desperate for a second receiver.
Yeah.
And have you guys heard that story of when they drafted him? Hold on, I'll be able to look at the camera. They're in the draft room, and they're up on the clock, and McDermott turns to the GM and he goes, "Go get the tight end." Not go get Kincaid or go get our top-rated player. There was a tight end on the board. It was Dalton Kincaid. They're like, "Go get the tight end." I love that. Yeah, I think that's a phenomenal pickup. Oh man. Well, it's gonna be a good one. Pick game of the week real quick. Is it Josh v. Josh? I think it is.
Yeah, it's a Josh Bowl.
The Josh Bowl. We should have an outstanding Ava, please. We should have an outstanding waiver or a wager on the Josh Bowl. Winning Josh gets to change losing Josh's team name or something. That'd be funny.
Josh has really good matchups overall too for his team this week.
You have good matchups as well, I believe.
Yep.
A lot of them. But the Eagles. He's got 2 Eagles against Washington. Like that's.
Whoa. I think this is Eckler's bounce back week, though. I think Eckler goes plus 20 this week.
Chicago, yeah. I mean, Eckler and Mahomes have good matchups. Godaire's playing Washington too, so. We'll
Dude, and Etienne, I think, is the early running. Personally, Etienne best draft pick.
He's been great.
He's the 13th overall player, RB3, and you got him in like the 4th or 3rd or something.
Third.
Give him a
That's
third.
crazy. That's crazy.
We'll see.
He's-
Walker's playing against Cleveland's defense, so that's my biggest question mark
it's
this
rough.
week because he's been great, but Cleveland is tough. So
I mean, yes, but the Colts just lit them up. Like,
The Colts and
yeah.
Gardner Minshew.
didn't Moss and JT have a good game?
Yeah, they both had
I
good
feel like
games.
they both did, yeah. How is Bryn still? Okay, I need to get out of this. Okay, all right, we're going. Hey, it's been great, Kester. Thanks for coming on.
thanks, guys.
We got to have you on more than one time this year, so I will be hitting you back up. Your time on the show is always fun. Ava, you want to say bye-bye? Ava, say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. All right, guys, we'll catch you later. Peace.